right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, East Coast. Good morning, West Coast. Welcome to the Daily Motivation Call. If you have any background noise in the back, you can hit *6 on your phone so that it won't come through on the conference call. But like I said, good afternoon, good morning. Thanks, everybody, for attending the call. It's currently 12 o'clock, maybe even 12:01 on the dot, 9:01 on the dot, and we're going to get things started. If you're new to this call, we are here building the greatest community of people developing the mindset to win. No matter what we face in life, whether we're trying to climb the corporate ladder, we're trying to build a family, we're trying to build a business, the one thing that we all must acquire is the proper mindset. The proper mindset to be able to look at any circumstance and know that you aren't your circumstance. You're going to grow from this circumstance. You're going to get better. You're going to get over it, and you're going to move on to the next phase of your life. You're going to finally step into your power. Every single morning, when you have the proper mindset, you have built your mental capacity to the point that when you wake up in the morning, all you think of is gratitude. All you think of is all the good things that you do possess in your life, all the things that you do have in your life, the things you can actually touch and see and actually use to create something better. Right? When we just slow down, we just take a peek at everything that's in our lives and start pointing out all the things that can actually help us, things would be a lot much better for a lot of us, right? When we just focus on the good things, focus on having gratitude and constantly building gratitude. So this call was created back in April of this year for that purpose, to start helping people to really step into their power by developing the right mindset, to understand that they can create anything that they want. Everything that you can think, everything that you can dream, everything that you can imagine is possible. If you just take some time to focus, you just take some time to change your mindset. You just take some time to decide that you're going to make your dreams a reality. That you're going to decide to put in the work, the effort to get it done. You're going to decide to learn everything that you need to learn to make your dreams a reality. If you don't like where you are, guess what? You can change it. Turn that pain into success. Turn that frustration into success. Turn that hate into success. Every emotion can be used to win if you decide to. If you decide to. You don't have to look up to the celebrities anymore. You don't have to wish and wonder anymore. You can do, but you have to decide to. And the only way you're going to finally make that decision to start winning is by finally stepping into your power and saying, you know what, I'm going to develop my mind. I'm going to focus on the right material, the right reading material. I'm going to focus on the right visual material. I'm going to focus on the right audios, right? I'm going to put myself in an arena of people who constantly think about success, who constantly think about how to get results. I'm going to put myself in that arena because if I'm going to win, I have to be around winners. So that's why we created this call, Developing the Greatest Community of People Developing the Mindset to Win. Right? The big book says it only takes right? It only says it takes 2 to 3. The big book says it takes 2 to 3. Once you step into the arena, you get around the people that have that fire, you have no choice but to catch the fire and move forward. In the last few weeks, we've been talking about leadership. We've been talking about how to lead from within, how to start leading our own life, how to start doing the things that we want to do, how to start creating, getting better, getting in better shape, physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, just getting in better shape, creating some new habits, right? Being a leader of somebody who wants success. So when somebody else looks at you, they say, you know what, I want to lock arms with that person. I want to know more about that person. I want to know what you're doing. What is it? What is it that made you change your perspective? What is it that makes you think and talk that way now? Right? Because most people on this call, you're probably an online entrepreneur of some sort. You might be connected to me, or you may be connected to somebody who said, you know what, check out this call. You might be on this call because you're feeling a little bit down today. That's okay. You might be on this call because you're just trying to find some tips and tricks on how to build your business. That's okay. Anything that's about taking steps forward, that's what this call is about. We're about taking steps forward. We're about moving forward, getting it done. And you got to start leading within. And that's why we started going over the book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. We started going over this book just a few weeks ago. Today we're on chapter 18, the law of sacrifice. The law of sacrifice. A lot of people can't move up in life because they aren't willing to give up certain things. They aren't willing to sacrifice certain things. They aren't willing to sacrifice certain people. They aren't willing to sacrifice certain habits. And because you aren't willing to make the necessary sacrifices, you are exactly where you are right now. But until you finally decide to start giving up some things, because what it says in the chapter, it says a leader must give up to move up. A leader must give up to move up. Just to share a personal story. My mother. Okay, my mother's an average woman, works very hard every single day. She's been working hard pretty much all her life. And she called me up the other day. Honestly, called me up the other day and she says, Mike, I'm thinking about selling my home. Me, I was actually excited about it. I was extremely excited about it. Because my mom's at an age where, it's time for her to start enjoying herself, enjoying her life. She shouldn't have to work as hard as she's working now to maintain it all. She was a little upset. She was breaking down a little bit on the inside, but what was happening was some personal growth. She had finally realized that she has to let this go in order for her to move on in her life. She had to finally let some things go for her to start growing, start being more prosperous with what she has. See, we all have enough, but it's the way we spend what we have, it's the way we treat what we have that makes it seem like it's not enough. And if you don't want to make bigger financial moves, if you don't want to you don't want to step forward into a different relationship of some sort, if you don't want to make all these different extra moves in your life, then do this one thing, start giving up some things. When we can simply start giving up some things, it opens up a whole new world for us. We start giving up things that we thought we needed. We start giving up friends we thought we needed. We start giving up things we thought we needed, but they were simply things that were holding you back. I don't know if you heard of this. I think it was Tyler Perry. I don't know where he got it from, but I heard it from Tyler Perry, and he just talked about how we as people we're trees, and we have these limbs and leaves. He says certain people are like the leaves; they're only here for a season. He says certain people are there for the branches, but if you hang around them just too much, that branch will break. And he said some people are like the roots, and it's only going to be very few. They're the roots. They're the people who are going to be there forever. The people who are actually going to help you get to where you need to be, get to that abundance. But until you realize that you have to start sacrificing some other things in some other areas, some other people, you won't be able to truly step into your power. So I'm actually glad we're going over the law of sacrifice today. My man Julian is on the call. We're going to probably piggyback with each other, share some different ideas and perspectives about the law of sacrifice. But the most important thing to get from the call today is to understand a leader must give up to go up. And are you willing to give up what's good to receive what's great? Are you willing to give up what's good to receive what's great? And with that said, I actually got that quote from Julian this morning. We were just going back and forth and sharing ideas with each other, and he hit me with that, and I was like, wow, man, that's actually a powerful message. Are you willing to give up what's good to receive what's great? And with that being said, Julian, you want to piggyback off that thought, because you brought that thought up to me this morning, and I want to hear a little bit more about what you had to say on that particular quote.
Yeah, Mike, I do. Actually, I heard that quote from Eric Thomas, the motivational speaker, and I heard that several months ago in one of his videos. And I swear, like, when I heard him say that, it just pierced me. It just totally pierced me when I heard him say that. Are you willing to give up what's good to receive what's great, to get what's great? And for all of us, what is considered good is different, But in order to receive what is great, what is that next level that you're trying to get to, sometimes you got to give up some good stuff, some like really good stuff, right, to get to that next level, right? You heard Mike, his mom's giving up her home so that she can do some different things. I mean, a home's like the biggest purchase you make in your entire life. And when you think about, how big of an investment that is, that's a big deal, right? And some of us, we have long-time careers. We might be a veteran in something, 15-plus years and be looking at, pretty soon you'll be retiring from it. You'll be a career veteran of, 20, 25 years, and you'll be ready to get that pension if it's even existing, right? But when you start thinking about what do you have to give up in order to achieve something greater, personal story for me, what am I giving up to achieve something greater? I'm giving up personally. What I'm working on is giving up a 16-year IT career where I'm a director of one of the 10th largest email companies in the world. And on an everyday basis, I compete against Google, Yahoo, and Microsoft. And I'm competing against the best of the best. And it's very challenging, and it's very rewarding in that sense. Because I know that my small team of 3 people is kicking the asses of teams of 50 and 100 people. Right? It's very rewarding. But at the same time, it's very limiting. And I want to achieve something more. Right? And I got to tell you, it's a very comfortable job. It's easy to go there. It's easy to collect the paycheck. I'm well established, all those types of things. Right? It's a very good position. But I want to achieve great. So what do I got to give up? What do I got to give up to achieve great? Right? Yep. What are you going to give up to achieve great? A lot of you have jobs too, right? A lot of you are working a job, and you market online either part-time or full-time. Some of you are very strong individuals, and you're like 2-job type person, right? You full-time during the day, and you full-time during the night, working on your online business, right? You're an entrepreneur. You've got energy that is amazing that you can do 2 jobs at once, right? A lot of people can't do that. I've heard other stories where you hear about the parents, they work 2 jobs, right? Or they work split shifts, or they have a part-time job in addition to their full-time job. What do you got to give up personally? What sacrifices do you got to make so that you can achieve the vision that you want, that you can achieve the dream that you want, right? You're going to have to give up some good stuff. You might have to give up a vacation, or 2 or 3, right? Might not be able to take a vacation for the next 2 years, right? Might not be able to buy a new car for the next year, right? Maybe you're the type of person that likes to lease cars and you trade out cars every 2 years, right? I know a few people like that, but that's also a reason why they can't achieve great, because they're not willing to make any sacrifices. What sacrifices are you willing to make? Maybe you're having a really hard time struggling putting in some marketing budget so that you can grow your business, but then every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're going out. You're going to the bar. You're going out to, the nice restaurant. Maybe you need to cut back for a little bit, right? When you give up just a little bit, you start sacrificing, you can start achieving some really big goals. And so, I want you to think about that is what are you willing to sacrifice? In the book, they talk about 2 lists. What are you willing to sacrifice, and what are you not willing to sacrifice, right? Some people, what are you not willing to sacrifice? Not willing to sacrifice time with my family. Very important, right? What are the important things to you that no matter what, I'm not willing to give up on these things? I'm not willing to give up building a relationship and having the best relationship with my wife. Whatever that means, right? Nothing come in between that. I'm not willing to give up seeing my son or my daughter, receive an award, right? Not willing to give up working through my entire life because I have a job and I can't generate income and I can't be wealthy, that I can create money instead of receiving money. Right? Those types of things. What are you not willing to give up? right? But what are you willing to give up? Well, I'm willing to give up a little bit of sleep because I've only got one life to live, right? So I'm willing to give up some sleep. I don't have to eat out every single day, right? I don't have to go to a restaurant that's fancy every single month, right? I don't have to go to the movies during the day like some people all the time, right? So I can take things to the next level. Why? That next
Jules breaking up a little bit there. He's probably in traffic on his way to the office. But just to piggyback off what Julian was saying, Julian asked two questions. What are you willing to give up? And what are you not willing to give up? And see, what you're willing to give up is going to help you get to a position where you don't have to give up the things that are important. I listened to a speaker tell me one day, he said, listen, money is not everything. He said, money is not everything, but money can free up the time so you can focus on the things that money cannot buy. Money can free up the time to focus on the things that money can't buy. But you have to be willing to take some sacrifices to put yourself in that financial position to give you some time to focus on the things that money cannot buy. Okay? And those sacrifices are simply being able to open up your pockets and teach yourself how to make your money work for you, right? Sacrifices consist of losing sleep, like Julian mentioned on the call. Sacrifices you have to make some sacrifices to step in the position as a leader, right? Because as leaders, we must be willing to get rid of the life we planned so we can receive the life that's waiting for us. We have to be willing to give up the life that we planned in order to receive the life that's waiting for us as leaders. So some of you guys are leaders on the call. You might have your teams. Your teams could be big or small. I don't know who's on the call. It could be big or small, but some of you leaders are taking time to do webinars and hangouts and conference calls to connect with your team and to connect with the marketplace. You don't have to do that stuff, but you do it because you know it is required as a leader to keep moving forward and getting better in your business, your opportunity, your relationship, your home. These things are required to constantly keep growing as a leader. All right, I don't know if Julian's back on the call yet. He might be. Are you there, Jules?
Yeah, I'm here, buddy. Sorry about that. Change in cell towers here, and it's a little bit slow.
Cool deal. Before I take off, is there any other ideals you want to pick? Because I told them about, the two questions you asked. What are you willing to give up, and what are you aren't willing to give up?
Yeah, on top of that, when you think about it, life is just a series of trades, right? You're still talking about sacrifice here. It's really just trade-offs, right? What are you willing to trade? And so as you're going through, if you give something up, right? So let's talk about it real quick. If you give up some sleep, right? So maybe, or maybe you give up a nap in the afternoon, right? Or maybe you give up having a Starbucks every single day, right? So we'll give up something, but on the flip side of that, you are also receiving something, right? So we're talking about sacrifice, but that sacrifice, is it really like so substantial that you're losing? Right? We're talking about sacrifice, but in a lot of ways it's a trade. You're trading off something good to get something great. You're trading a Starbucks coffee so that you can market and get more money.
That's right. Yep.
To give you an example, let's say you start a marketing campaign, right? Maybe you start a Facebook PPC and you're spending $5 a day on it, right, which you would normally spend on your Starbucks. But then all of a sudden that PPC campaign that you've been running starts bringing you customers, right? And they get on your list. And maybe one of those customers converts instantly and they become a sale. But the other ones are on your list and you're marketing to them daily.
Yep.
So now all of a sudden, that $5 that you gave up, now all of a sudden that turned into a $50 sale.
Yep.
Right? So that's 5 Starbucks, right? No, that's 10 Starbucks. So you gave up a Starbucks today to get 10 Starbucks, right? And then the people that are on your list that you're marketing to, building relationships, putting value out on the market, those start to convert, right? So, many of you on this call, entrepreneurs, building businesses online, know that you have and have had the experience of having somebody on your list and they were on your list and you're providing them value day in and day out, and then anywhere from 3 to 7 months, and some even longer, even to a year, converted into a sale. And they started doing big things, right? So you had to give up Starbucks, $5. They got on your list. You worked them for, a duration, and then they converted. And that conversion, it could be anything. It could be a $50 sale. It can be a $3,000 sale.
Yep.
Right? All because you gave up $5.
Yep.
I mean, to me, I'll give up the $5 every single day to convert and to get leads and to grow a business that is going to create money, right? What's the biggest difference between wealth and rich? You guys know what the biggest difference between wealth and rich is? Rich is dependent on people giving them money. Wealth is creating money. Can you create money? My question, can you create money? If you can't create money, start making sacrifices so you can learn how to create money. When you learn how to create money, you never feel dependent on receiving money. It's a very different feeling when you know how to create money versus having to, even if you have a great job, right? You get paid $250,000 a year and you've got, $100K in bonuses a year. That's a great job. But you know what? If that job goes away, how do you create that again?
Wow.
So when you know how to create money, when you know how to create $10,000 income every single month, even $1,000 income every month, right? When you know how to create it, right? You know how to create $100 online. That's all about scaling that up. You go to, 1,000, 10,000, 20,000 a month, right? Because you know how to create it. But if you have to go somewhere to receive it every single time, I mean, you can be rich, you can be filthy rich, but if it goes away for any reason, you're screwed. That's the difference, right? That's the difference between being wealthy. Wealthy people know how to create money. So what are you willing to sacrifice to learn how to be wealthy? What are you willing to sacrifice?
Wow.
Alrighty, Mike. Back over to you,
wow.
buddy.
Thank you so much for that message, brother. I mean, Jules just simply put it into perspective. Okay? He put it in perspective because, in the industry that we're in, we talk to a lot of people often, whether it's via email, whether it's by phone, or somebody contacting us, some way, shape, or form. We're speaking to people, and when people tell us about their problems, they tell us their problems, right? These illusions of what they think are problems. They're telling us these things, and then when we give them the solution to their problems, they rebuttal with excuses of why they aren't qualified for this particular solution, or why they can't utilize this solution. Right? So they got these illusions of problems. We give them a solution, and they rebuttal with excuses. And it's these same people who aren't willing to make the sacrifices in their lives, and that's why they are stuck where they are. That's why they constantly have these illusions of what they call problems. But until you decide to start making some sacrifices in your life, right? Jules said it's as small as giving up a cup of coffee. Giving up a cup of coffee to be able to turn a cup of coffee into a residual income. It's possible in this industry that we're in of internet marketing, online marketing. It's possible to do great things, but you got to be willing to give up a little bit of time, right? Give up a little bit of money to start educating yourself, giving up a little bit of sleep so you can start testing and tweaking things so that you can find out what it works and what works exactly for you. Sacrifice. You want to actually do great things in life. Maybe you don't want to be super great. Maybe you just want to get out of the pit that you're in right now. Maybe you just want to get out of your own toxic mess. But let me tell you something. Until you are in a position where you can let some things go, right? Because some people are drowning. They're under the water drowning, right? They're under the water drowning, and they're holding on. They're holding on to something that they're trying to save somebody else. They're constantly trying to save other people. Meanwhile, they're under the water, and they're constantly trying to save this other person, but all they realize is that they can't save anybody else until they can eventually save themselves. So if you can get up for a little bit of air to go back and save them, it'll be all worth it. But if you're constantly holding them, trying to save them, and not actually letting go so you can go up and get some air and go back and get them, both of you are going to drown. Both of you are going to drown. You have to finally decide to let some things go. Make some sacrifices in your life. Make some sacrifices in your business, right? Give up what's good for what's great, guys. Be willing to let go of the life that you got planned for this great life that's waiting for you. Okay? Don't drown in your own toxic mess, baby. Just let it go and move forward in your life and start making some changes. This is Mike Williams, Julian Tang. You can text motivation to 77948. That's motivation to 77948. Text motivation to 77948. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Look out for the updates on the social media platforms or email or however you got this invite. Come back to this call. Bring a friend to this call. If you got something for this call, tell the world that you got something for this call, and they should be on it too. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Later.
Have a great one, everyone.
Bye. Take care.